much for joining us today for our Global Employability Expert Series. My name is Jessica Rakowski, and I am a University Partnerships Manager for virtual internships. And just as a reminder, we are recording today's webinar, so it will be available for you to access later on our YouTube channel. And we encourage you to ask any and all questions throughout the presentation as they come to you in the Q&A box, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. We are joined today by Brittany Oliver, who will be talking to us about a really exciting topic of navigating sort of unexpected career paths. She works at Zuru Toys as a business unit manager. So without further ado, I will pass it off to Brittany and let her introduce herself.
Cool, thanks Jillian. Hi everyone, it's so awesome to be speaking with you today. I'm really excited to share just a little bit of my journey, and I hope that it can encourage you or that you can take some learnings away from it. So I know that we've got people joining from all around the world. So currently I'm based in Auckland, New Zealand. But previously, in a time before coronavirus, I was in Shenzhen, China for about 1.5 years with Zuru. So kind of my story and my history, I studied a Bachelor of Management Studies in New Zealand. It was a 4-year degree, and I was really fortunate in my second year. I went on a 2-week program to Chengdu in China, which was my first kind of exposure to Asia, and I just absolutely fell in love with Asia and kind of the craziness and the hustle, the bustle. It was just, everything was very different, and I really liked that about it, especially coming from a small town, small kind of area in New Zealand. And then I went back to university, and I met Katie, who was the exchange coordinator at the university, and I started to kind of look into how I could do an exchange overseas. And I was originally looking to go do an exchange in China, and Katie sort of said, well, why don't you look at Taiwan? And Taiwan was sort of really compelling to me, the small little island Asian country, kind of like New Zealand, small little island country. I studied there for 6 months, which again was another phenomenal experience, a lot of exposure, a lot of personal and self-learnings during that time of my life. And then, yeah, came back to New Zealand. I had a paper at university, which was a strategic paper, where we were given a business case and we had to come up with kind of a 3-part strategy on how this business could go. And for my year, that was Zuru. And this was the first time I'd ever heard about Zuru. I didn't know who they were or what they did. And we kind of had to learn about this company and come up with a 3-part strategy for them on how they could grow. And so it was kind of the pinnacle paper of the university degree. So it was a competition at the same time. So there was so many of us all working ridiculous hours to come up with the best case possible and the best strategy for Zuru. And fortunately, my team was one of the finalist teams in there. So you had strategies in there suggesting that Zuru diversifies into fast-moving consumer goods. You had strategies in there suggesting that they start selling domestically into the China market. And our strategy specifically was talking about moving into the housing market. Which was kind of a risky, crazy suggestion, but we really enjoyed it and fortunately made it through the finals. So from there, I kind of had the team at Zuru sort of reach out to myself and multiple people about like internship opportunities and job opportunities. And at the time, in complete honesty, I was like, I don't want to work for a toy company. I don't want to move to China to live forever. And I'm not interested. And so I sort of said, thank you, but no. And in my mind, I had kind of had it ingrained that the right thing to do as a business student was to go into consulting, or, you know, some normal career path. And I applied for a few jobs there, and one of them was Ernst & Young, EY, in their strategy and consulting team, and I was fortunate enough to get a position there as well, which was going to be starting the following year, and I was obviously very happy and felt like it was, you know, I'd got this amazing opportunity to work at this firm. And then a few months later again, Zuru, they came knocking on the door and they're like, are you sure you don't want to work with us? And they sort of laid out the opportunity that they had for me, which was managing through their first acquisition of another brand. And I sort of had this moment. It was about three for 3 months. Every day I was changing my mind. I'm like, do I go, you know, the safe EY opportunity where it's like good on my CV, it's going to set me up for life, and you know, I'm going to always have that there, and it's going to be a solid foundation, I'm going to learn all these important skills that I need? Or do I go and move to China and work for a toy company and do something that I have no idea that I'm going to do? And it was kind of this constant battle in my mind. And of course I had everyone in my life telling me different things. A lot of older people were telling me I should be doing the EY, you know, it was more stable. And then I had the back of like friends just being, you know, just do it, just take the risk. And in the end, I actually decided to take the job in China. I was like, what the heck, why not? I'm young. I'm not tied down by anything. It would be an incredible experience. I said, Brittany, if you get there and you hate it, you can come back after a year. But I ended up loving it, and it's been, and it still is, an amazing journey. So just to give you guys a little bit of context, I just wanted to share with you Zuru, just our little company video, so that you can get a picture of what Zuru is all about.
Zuru, we're one of the fastest growing toy companies in the world, known for our speed to market and innovation. Let me show you what the team at Zuru is all about.
Being based in China does create a huge advantage for us. We currently employ more than 3,000 people and have a footprint in all of our key markets with 10 offices worldwide. Additionally, we indirectly employ more than 10,000 people in China and continue to grow fantastic partnerships with our OEM factories. Every day at Zuru, we are manufacturing over 400,000 toys.
Since 2015, we have more than doubled our international business and now distribute to over 120 countries, and there's no signs of us slowing down. Our products are available in all major retail stores, and we work closely with our retail and distribution partners.
In the great USA, we have 98% distribution coverage through our partnerships with all our major retailers. With the opening of over 10,000 square foot of showroom space in LA, Bentonville, and Minneapolis, we will continue our USA growth.
Creativity is the heart of what we do. We bring a new approach to design and shape our brands from the ground up. We've built a world-class team of illustrators, designers, and engineers, and continues to grow our development resource year on year.
Zuru follows a three-pronged approach to business: innovation, value, and licensing.
Zuru remains at the forefront of product innovation by working with inventor companies from around the globe. We identify promising concepts and develop these into marketable brands. Bunch of Balloons is the perfect example of how we took a great concept and brought it to market in the right way. Within 6 months, we developed the automation machines that are now responsible for making over 270,000 bunches every day.
We love ideas with real imagination. We're always asking, what if, or imagine that? And nobody brings creativity to life quicker than Zuru.
We believe in telling stories. It's the stories behind our products that fuel and encourage the imagination of kids. But how we tell these stories is rapidly changing. At Zuru, we build diverse and effective marketing plans that create billions of touch points with our brands every year.
We're really excited about the future. Come play with Zuru.
Cool. So that's like a bit of a look into Zuru and what we do at Zuru. I'm not sure how familiar everyone is, but Zuru, the story is a pretty awesome story about 3 siblings from New Zealand who kind of had this little hot air balloon idea, and they moved themselves over to China and kind of slept on the floors of factories and really just held out over there until they kind of got their first break. And now that we're number 7 in terms of toy companies globally, really exciting, and continue to grow really fast. So it's a very fast moving, dynamic sort of environment, and it's always, you know, challenging people to be adaptive and really challenge their minds and be critical thinkers. And so that's part of the reason that I've loved and enjoyed what we're doing. And then we've also started to diversify into the fast moving consumer goods area. So nappies, fem care, shampoo, conditioner, collagen creamers, which is launching in the US with the support of the Kardashians. So we're now getting some really big support behind a lot of the work that Zuru does. In terms of my role specifically, like I said, I came on board, and Zuru has always developed our own brands from the bottom up, and this was the first time that we were acquiring a brand from another company. And so I was sort of put in this role of managing through the acquisition, which was really fascinating. We acquired the brand from a Hong Kong company, and our headquarters is in Shenzhen. So that was a really interesting experience for me on integrating systems and processes. And just kind of my naivety and the fact that I didn't have a lot of preconceptions really enabled me to do a great job there and go with my gut. And I was very fortunate that I was allowed a lot of responsibility to do that. And so now that we've integrated everything through, I look after the business development side of that business, and it's focused on kind of growth in key markets and how do we build the range, and then also taking over key brands as well. So it's really fun. It's challenging. I enjoy working with people across different cultures. That's something I feel very fortunate to do. So working with the likes of the USA in terms of a sales perspective, working with Europe, and then you've also got, I'm now based in New Zealand, so I've still got that connection with the team in China as well, which is makes for a fun day of mixed time zones, but it also keeps me engaged, and I kind of feel like every day is different and that I've always got something to look forward to. So that's kind of an insight in a nutshell to me. I don't know if Jillian, you want to move into some questions, and I can probably talk a little bit more to what people are interested to know.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question already, and I encourage everyone else, if you have any questions, to please enter them into the Q&A. But so far we have, what has been the hardest thing that you've faced at work?
Oh, that's a really good one. Something that I find hard being a young person in a very dynamic role, and being a young person that comes in and is given a lot of responsibility. Sometimes it's very hard to work with people that are a lot older than you, or to kind of guide and direct them without them feeling a little bit like, you know, who is this young person telling me what to do? So the hardest thing, but also the most rewarding thing, is learning to work in a team and also understand the different kind of needs and perspectives of the people I work with. So I'm very conscious, you know, that when I'm giving directives to someone who's been in the industry for 10 years, that I do have to be really careful in my communication. But I also acknowledge that when I'm working with the team in China, I have to be really conscious of explaining things a little bit more, or adding visual information to get my messaging across. So sometimes I'm just like, oh, this is so like frustrating, and this is taking too much time, but it's a really key part of working in a team and kind of achieving the common goal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that a lot of our interns are facing right now at the moment, as they're interning with companies that are in completely different countries and cultures than their own. So they're learning how to really navigate that communication and the different styles of communication.
Mm-hmm.
So no other questions yet from, oh, here we go. We have a couple more that just came in. So we have a question from Sarah, who says, what might we face in our first job experience, and what would happen if something went wrong?
Oh, that's a really great question. So I think that I always visualize it as you're walking down a corridor and there's lots of different rooms and there's lots of different doors, and you can't just keep walking up and down the corridor without looking what's inside the room. And it's okay to go inside, and if you don't like what's there, to you know, learn from what's in there and come out again. So I always go in with that mentality first, because it kind of makes you feel that you don't need to worry about if things don't go right, because that's part of life and best learnings a lot of the time as well. I think that often you can expect changes and misalignments to your perceptions. So you might have a picture in your head of what you're going to be doing in your role or the type of people you're going to be working with. It's really easy for us to go in kind of with this vision and it not line up to that vision. And I think it's important to remind yourself that that's okay as well, and that you've got to be adaptable. And adaptability is such a key thing, the ability to look at your environment, to read the people that you're working with, the company that you're working with, and then adjust the way that you work to be able to fit in there. And if something goes wrong, and if you're constantly feeling like you're, you know, not enjoying it, then you also have the ability to take those learnings and then, you know, apply them elsewhere. And I always tell myself that in the company on my bad days, that I'm still learning how not to manage, or I'm still learning how not to do things. So when things go wrong, you always tell yourself that down the track, when I'm in a position of leadership or when I'm in the company, you know, and I get to make some decisions, I'm not going to do that. Or I remember the way that made me feel. So everything is kind of part of learning and part of growth.
Yeah, that's really, really great advice. Thank you. We have another question specifically about Zuru. Someone's curious about, you know, what types of positions are available within the company?
Okay. So Zuru, yeah, we're a very, very fast moving, fast growing company at the moment. So we do have a range of the main areas that we hire, because a lot of our headquarters obviously is in China, but the areas where we hire a lot of expats is in sales, marketing, business development, creative, design, product, legal. We have like communications, sales and operations. So quite a broad range of areas.
Yeah, definitely something it looks like for everybody. And we have another really great question. So considering that you are, you know, collaborating with people from all over the world, different time zones, I'm sure that wreaks havoc on your schedule a lot of the time. So do you have any advice for how you're able to manage your time considering those things?
Yeah, it's definitely fun trying to manage time across time zones. Sorry, I'm just fixing my computer's about to run out of battery. There we go. Oh, cool. So yeah, it's something that when I was young and when I first went into the company, is probably actually a good learning for me as well. I kind of just worked these crazy hours. I was trying to prove myself. I didn't know what the standard was, and now that I've been in the company for a year, I have really learned to listen to myself and my body and when I need to rest. And we've got a really fantastic flex policy now in the office. So I really take ownership of my time management, and I know that, you know, so I'm up early today. I'll probably work till about 4 p.m. and then I will go home at 4 p.m. and I will, you know, go enjoy the sunset for a few hours, and then I'll probably come online again for another couple of hours. But I always really learn to read myself and what my body's telling me. And if I'm tired, I'll just switch off. And so those are the kind of things I think you learn over time, and you have to really take ownership of, is how to listen to your body and how to make hay when the sun shines, and to work hard when it needs to be done. But then also learning to rest is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we try and instill in our interns to, you know, take care of their mental health as well as balancing out their work.
For sure.
A really great question here is, what ultimately drove you to take the job in a different country than from what you're used to? And, you know, you mentioned how you were a little skeptical at first. So, what really allowed you to break through that fear, I guess, of moving to China and working for this unconventional job?
These are such good questions. I have always been, that sinking feeling you get when you're about to kind of like make a decision or like step off the ledge, and I almost like enjoy that feeling of taking a step outside my comfort zone. And in my mind, I think deep down I realized I didn't want the traditional comfortable life. I don't want to live a comfortable life. I want to live a life where I'm challenged and I'm outside of my comfort zone, because that's where you grow the most. So I think ultimately that's what I came down to. And kind of, I always do analyze the risks as well and the fear, because I do have fear. And I think at the end of the day, the fear that was holding me back was being trapped there, which in the end was not a fear that I had to have. So I felt free to be able to take that risk and step out and learn.
Yeah. And so what has been the most valuable thing that you have gained or learned from working in a different country and culture?
Wow. I would definitely say empathy. I think empathy is kind of that higher level of being able to really connect and understand how people are feeling, and then tailor to their needs and to the way that they need to be communicated with or worked with. And so I think I've really learned a lot about different cultures and how to work with that and understand those people that I work with.
Yeah, that's really great. And I think we have a time for a few more questions. So what do you think really set you apart from some of the other candidates, and what qualities do you think made you a better applicant?
Oh, that's good. I think a lot of companies, it comes down to, sure, like hard skills are great, but that's almost ticking a box. So when you've done the degree or you've done certain achievements, that's great. You've ticked that box, but what really matters at the end of the day is character and personality. And I think that what they found is, because I was quite open-minded, I was not afraid of challenges, and I was excited to grow and I wanted to learn. I think that's a really key thing, is being willing to learn and showing that you want to grow and showing that you're passionate is what sets you apart, because those are the type of things that can't be taught. And so as long as you have those things that can't be taught easily, you learn very, very, very quickly.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. I think that's one of the things that we try to coach a lot of our interns in, is that the most important thing is to just show your motivation and how eager you are to learn and to, be challenged. And so did you set a specific goal for yourself when you started your job at Zuru? And have you, achieved it, or how have you, set goals for yourself throughout your career? I guess.
Yeah. That's a really good question. Actually, quite a challenging one, because I don't really have specific goals. I'm always looking to do the best in whatever task is put in front of me, but I didn't actually have a specific goal. I mean, one of them was to last. One of them was to make it to a year in China, which I did. But I think that, yeah, I've always found that when I have a goal, it sometimes makes me feel disappointed in myself if I don't reach that goal. And so I often like to be motivated in the day-to-day and excelling. And if I do have goals, my goals are along the lines of, I want to be a better communicator. I want to be a better friend at work. I want to be more of a perfectionist and take more pride in the smaller details of what I do. Those are probably kind of the goals that I set for myself.
Gotcha.
Not really specific and measurable. Maybe that's a bad thing. I'm not sure.
More like day-to-day goals or short-term goals, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And how do you feel that this experience, moving to China, working for this company, has impacted your professional development in your career in the long run?
Yeah, I have learnt a huge amount of things from a range of different areas. So for me as a graduate, it was just kind of the perfect playground because I got to do work in supply chain, profitability, operations, like human resource, marketing, sales. It's like a range of things that I've had a taste of. And so now moving forward, I kind of know areas of strengths or what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy, because when you finish university, it's so hard to know exactly what you want to do. And I still don't know exactly what I want to do, but now I know areas that I enjoy, and I know that I can take that with me down the track, and definitely speak to the experiences that I've had and speak to the things that I've been able to achieve in my role.
That's great. That's really awesome. And so another interesting question that we have is, how can you know that you're in the right place or the right job?
That's a very, very good question as well. I think that coming kind of back to mental health, I think mental health is a really important thing, and the ability to understand your mind and your happiness as well. So I have good days and I have bad days. I really do. But at the end of the day, I feel in my gut that this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm not you kind of get excited at the thought of new things or excited at the thought of a new job, and at the moment I don't have that. I'm content, and I feel supported, and that I have room to grow here. And so I think, is this the right job for me forever? No, but is this the right job for me in this season? Like, yes, I do believe that. So I think that comes down to your gut, and also looking at your mental health and how is your mind and how is your heart really? Are you feeling in this space?
Yeah, that's really great advice. I think we have time for kind of one more question, and I would love to end, this presentation with, if you have any advice for our interns maybe going through a similar situation or thinking about working abroad but have some reservations, anything that you can kind of point them to help make a good decision for themselves.
Sure. Yeah, I would just really challenge you to not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, and to take a risk, to take a calculated risk, and do research, reach out to people. So if you find people that work for the company you're interested in on LinkedIn, reach out to them. If no one replies, that's fine, but, put yourself out and step out and try get a picture of what you're in for, but also just be open to growth and learning, and really, really focus on that, and focus on the way that you can be shaped with the new opportunity.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany. This was really great. I really enjoy listening to your experience and all the advice you gave, and I think that our interns have as well. If anybody has any further questions, you can feel free to reach out at hello@virtualinternships.com. I'm also sure that Brittany won't mind if you maybe connect with her on LinkedIn and ask her any questions that you might still have. I'll send a link with her LinkedIn page in a follow-up email. Otherwise, thank you again so much, Brittany. Everybody, thank you for attending today's webinar. We'll be having another one in a few weeks, so keep an eye out in your email for a future invitation to our next expert series.
Awesome. Thank you.